Good morning, it is Monday and it is time to get into the Shooty and the Catfish development vlog for this week. If this is your first time, Shooty and the Catfish is a comedy RPG being made in RPG Maker MV, and I'm hoping to get it out sometime in the next 6 months. Could be less than that, so we'll see how we go. But anyway, on to what I have planned for this week. Alright, so first of all, today, Monday, I have a throne I need to design. If you saw last week, I showed an exterior map. There was a space where the final boss is got to be sitting, and it needs a throne because he's a king of a kingdom, and at the moment he'd just be standing out there in the cold. Can't have that, needs a throne, so that's first on the list. Second, I need to finish the rest of that exterior map. There's a little bit of work that still needs to be done to it. It needs to be infected with mushrooms and fungus and all that sort of stuff, so I'm also going to get that done. And then lastly, there was one interior map originally designed for this final part of the dungeon, which is the last part of the game, and I need to split that map into 2 separate maps and also redesign them so they're a little bit more compact, they're a little bit more interesting visually, because at the moment they're just a series of corridors. It's kind of bland, and I want to make it really feel like you've progressed through the game to this dense environment of this, he's in a position of importance, he needs to have a feeling of weight to him. So that's what I got planned for today. For Wednesday, I'm hoping to do the final boss's sprite and battler, pretty straightforward, as well as the real final boss's sprite and battler, which I won't be showing because spoilers. And that's really the only thing I haven't spoiled in the game's development, so I have to keep something a secret from you guys. And then lastly, on Friday, as always in the morning, I'll be doing a Patreon update, and then after that, I'm hoping to event the ending sequence, so everything that happens after you beat the final boss. And then, of course, on Saturday is editing this devlog and uploading it. So now that we've got all that out of the way, let's get into it. Good afternoon. It is not long past lunchtime, and I got a bit done this morning. So far I have this throne here which I've redesigned. It's a little bit hard to make out due to the colors, so I might change the color of these mushrooms to make them pop a little bit more against the backdrop. But essentially that throne's done, so you'll have the final boss sitting on here. And as you can see, I've also covered this exterior map in mushrooms all over this building to kind of really sell the fact that it's been really heavily infected with this fungus outbreak that's been going on. So it feels pretty good to have that done. And next up, I've got to come into these interior maps here. I need to get these basically separated into 2 and made into maps that aren't visually boring and kind of crap, because this is not good. This needs work. Good afternoon again. I am back with those maps wrapped up. So the first one I kept relatively simple because at this point you are coming out of this space, this guy. So you've come through this over the top of this exterior of this particular castle, and then come into here, and that will spit you out this space. So I guess you could say it acts as a bit of a transition. You might know where you're going to pop out. So there's a little bit of a ramp, which then leads you to this exterior map where you pop out here and then work your way around and back in. And it's not until you're back in that you realize, oh hey, this is actually a pretty serious space, because now we have a bunch of rooms in here with furniture. I think I mentioned last week there's not going to be any actual combat in this last piece of the dungeon. It's simply exploration and mood setting. There's going to be a lot of lore stuff here on these shelves, and you'll be able to get some last minute gold or upgrades, but after that it's straight to the good afternoon. It is Wednesday, and it has been an interesting day. I've done some things that I've never done before in RPG Maker, and we'll get into that in a moment. But for now, here's what we've got happening so far today. First of all, we have this little doobie here, the king that you're here in this area to visit. He's the whole reason that you're in this particular Newfolk Castle area, and the alpaca that you're running into throughout the previous 2 parts of this castle are his son. So you can see he's not really quite right. We've got his sprite here. He only has 2 very simple sprites, one where he's sitting down on his throne, and one for after you, of course, killed him. Now, obviously, because you kill him, he needs a battle sprite, a battler, and so here it is here. He's got some Akira shit going on with all these vines and stuff growing out of him, because, mushrooms are a common theme throughout this game, clearly. And yeah, well, I just thought it was an interesting look. I've always loved that shot of Tetsuo with all the wires coming out of him, so this is my little tribute to that. Now, second of all, and where things get a little bit more interesting, and I'm going to have to actually cover some of this up because it's spoilers, and it's the real end boss of the game, and obviously I don't want it spoiled. But if we come down to this corner of the map, This is just where I was testing this out. You can see these 4 individual events here. Each one of these events contains a particular asset, and that's because this character, this boss, is larger than anything else in the game and is actually made up of 4 of the larger sprites. So they're all timed the same and they all line up. I didn't know if it was going to work or not, but it does. Let's get into it. Let's set this little guy here. And again, like I said, I'm going to have to censor this so that I'm not ruining things. But as you can see, blurred out, there is clearly something there, and it's quite large. This isn't where it's going to actually be located in the game, but working, which I didn't know if it would or not, so that's awesome. Still need to do some work and to work out how I'm going to attach this character to its home, but the fact of the matter is, this giant boss, final boss, the way I plan on doing it, it works. Good afternoon. It is Friday, and this morning I updated the Patreon page with this week's update. Only 2 new images, nothing too exciting, nothing you haven't already seen in the video. So I got that done. While I did want to get some programming done today, I've actually spent this afternoon focusing on redesigning my home studio space, which is starting to feel like more of a priority. So at the moment, you might have seen it in my video the other day, I've currently got a temporary setup using like an old chest which had my mum's stereo in it. There's a cheap Kmart table with both these screens on it. That one's getting removed and replaced with another one, and some salt lamp for working at night so it's not so harsh on my eyes in here. Like I said, it's temporary, so instead of working on my game, I've been working on designing a new desk. So I would like to make something simple so it's not a big deal when I move. Essentially, I'm looking at just using cinder blocks, 2 sets of 4 cinder blocks on the bottom, and I would probably move them closer to the center instead of having them at the side, so the weight distribution's a lot more even, because at the moment it's obviously quite heavy in the middle. And then being able to move everything onto here, so I'd have more cinder blocks up here in the corner, which is where my Xbox and PlayStation would be, as well as this laptop, which is currently sitting on this old chest. So that'd all be over here to the on the right. In the middle, I want to have my Cintiq, instead of it being beside my secondary monitor, I want my secondary monitor up higher with the Cintiq directly underneath it, and then a keyboard and mouse in front. That's how I like to work, but at the moment it's not an option. And like I said, this screen is a temporary one. It's a 4K monitor. I have a AOC 24G FHD. It's a 144 hertz monitor on the way, and this 4K monitor is 30 hertz, and it's killing me. It feels so sluggish to use, and RPG Maker does not cooperate well with 4K screens, I can tell you. So that's all stuff that I already have. The only stuff I don't have is obviously the cinder blocks and the timber. Some things I don't have yet. Screens already on order and has been since December. And I'm saving to buy some KEF LS50Ws, not just for audio mixing, because obviously they're pleasure speakers, but they're monitor speakers and they're bookshelves that are good enough for what I'm doing here, basically. It'd be great to be able to listen to music and enjoy it, and listen to games and enjoy them, and having something better than cheap headphones to hear what the games I'm working on actually sound like. Good afternoon. It is Sunday. It's been a huge weekend. I ended up having to do freelance, which I wasn't expecting. Quite a bit of overtime at work. And I figured something a little bit different, I'd show you a bit of that. So part of my job where I work in hi-fi now, is editing videos together for social media, for YouTube, things like that. One of the videos we filmed on Saturday was of an unboxing of a pair of headphones, and it's my first time doing a tech video like this. This isn't me in the video. This is another man, Darcy, doing the unboxing. I edited that together and actually learned a few little tricks. They're using these tech videos to make the edit smoother when you're editing audio. So I'll probably be applying those in my videos for now. But that's just a little thing that I had to do this morning, or spent the last 2 days working on. And here is an Instagram version, which is vertical, so I had to design that space. So that was a cool experience working on that. And once this little bit's recorded, I got to do the same thing for this week's devlog, which I would have liked to have been live on for patrons this morning, but like I said, things have been busy. So that's part of what I spent today doing. I have also made some changes to the way Shooting the Catfish works in terms of progress. So this is the first part of New Folk Castle. Originally, saving the alpaca here was optional, and I've changed that now. So when you save him, you get a key, which allows you to progress through this gate. And it's the same for the second one. When you save the alpaca from here, there is now a gate up the top here that allows you to unlock. And I did that purely for that character's story. I feel like it's kind of tied to the end boss in a way that originally I thought it could be optional, but it doesn't quite work the way I was hoping as I was writing the dialogue with the end boss. It just wasn't working. So that's why that decision was made. Now, along with that, and unfortunately I can't show you this because it's spoilers, so we'll cut to some gameplay footage. I have also added in blocks so that I can add in fully animated cutscene. This is something I've been thinking about. I haven't done any animation for about 8 months. The last thing that I worked on was my short film Deep Water, which was I think June last year. So yeah, about 8 months since I've done any real animation, and I need to keep those skills fresh. So I'm going to be adding in fully animated 2D cutscenes, which will be in between each episode. There'll be dream sequences, and there will also be 2 at the end of the game as the final boss emerges. I think this will make the game feel a little more polished and give it that sort of, I always like that in the PS1 era of JRPGs when you have these amazing CG cutscenes, or amazing for the time. I want to replicate that just like I did in my game Flatwoods. So that's a decision that I've made, but I will be doing the animated cutscenes last because that stuff will also be getting used in the game's final trailer for release. So thank you for watching this week's video. Sorry it was a bit all over the place, and apologies for my audio quality. I have some reason this week I thought I would try doing my recording with the Astro A40s I have. They have a headset built in. Not happy with the audio quality. It does make it feel a lot more natural doing my narration over the footage than using a microphone on a stand. The audio quality isn't quite there, although I do appreciate the way that this microphone does not pick up my air conditioner, but you know, that's not a good enough sacrifice, so apologies for that. And if you're a $5 patron, you'll find yourself with access by the time this video is out to the source files for the entire game. This is the first month where you'll be getting that reward. So if you would personally like to dig through the source files and see how the game's been put together, $5 patron's the way to go. Of course, any support is welcome, and just sharing this video would be very greatly appreciated. So as always, thank you everyone for your time. I hope you have a great day and a great weekend and a great week. I'll see you next time. Peace out. Have a good one.